In this set of examples, we're going to be looking to solve some equations, but inside of the equations, there's going to be some radicals. Here are the basic steps that we're going to follow. The first thing you're going to do is try to get the root by itself. That's going to help us out. And once the root part is by itself, you're going to get rid of the root. Now, if the root is a square root, you will square both sides. We will see some where the root is a cubic root, in which case you would cube both sides. Once you've done step 2, the root is going to be gone and you're going to be able to solve for x using skills you already have. And last, you're going to have to check anything that was a square root. The cubic roots are fine, you don't have to check those, but the square roots you're going to have to check. And it has to do with the fact that you can't do square roots of negative numbers, but we can do cubic root of negative numbers. And so this check is going to be essential on the square roots, but not on the cubic ones. Let's walk through those steps in example 1. First step, get the root by itself. Well, here's the root. It's on the left side of the equal sign, but also on the left side of the equal sign is this 6, and he can't be there. So the first thing we're going to do is move that 6 to the other side. So I'm going to minus 6 from both sides of the equation, and these are going to cancel out. So I'll be left with the square root of 3x minus 5 on the left, and on the right we'll have 11 minus 6, which is 5. On to step 2. Since this is a square root that we're needing to get rid of, we'll do the opposite of square root, which is squaring. So we're going to square both sides. So we're going to square this side, but what you do to one side of an equation, you have to do to the other to keep it balanced. Squaring on the left is going to cancel out this root, and it's just going to leave us with 3x minus 5. On the other side, the squaring is going to change that 5. So it was 5. When we square it, we get 25. For the next step, we're going to solve for x using some old algebra skills. I'm going to get this 5 over to the other side and leave just 3x on the left and 30 over here. And then to get x by itself, we're going to need to divide by that 3. That's going to leave me with x equals 10. Maybe. This was a square root equation. That means we have to check these. So I'm going to rewrite the equation, but wherever I see an x, I'm going to put in what I think x is, which is 10. Now underneath the radical, we're going to follow order of operations. 3 times 10 is 30, and then minus 5 will leave me with 25 under the root, plus 6 equals 11. Well, the square root of 25 is regular 5, and 5 plus 6 does equal 11. So I know 10 is the correct answer. Let's try example 2. Step 1, get the root by itself. Well, here's my root. It's on the left. So everybody not under the root has to be on the right. So this negative 1 is in the wrong spot. So let's add the 1 to the other side. So these are going to cancel and leave me with just the square root of negative 7 plus 8x. Now on the other side, I go to put that 1 with the x, and those aren't like terms, so I'm just going to have to write it as x plus 1. Okay, we've gotten the root by itself. Next step, we're going to get rid of the root. It is a square root, so we are going to square both sides. Now be careful, over here you got to square that whole thing, which means we're really doing x plus 1 times itself. This is a FOIL. Now on the left, the square and the root are going to cancel and leave me with negative 7 plus 8x. And on the other side, we're going to FOIL that. We're going to get x squared plus x, and 1 times 1 would be 1. Okay, we're ready to solve for x. Now this problem has an x squared. Anytime we're solving equations with x squareds, the way we would do that is set it equal to 0 and try and factor it. Now this x squared is sitting over here all positive. He's happy. Do not mess with him. Bring everybody over to him. So we are going to add the 7 to move it over. I'm also going to minus 8x to move that over. We're going to go ahead and combine some like terms. Over here, everything's going to cancel and give me 0, which is what I wanted. On the other side, we're going to get x squared, and then let's see x's. I have x, and negative 8. So that's going to give me negative 6x, and 1 and 7 would give me 8. Now that it's set equal to 0, we can factor this. Because it's a lead coefficient of 1, I know it's just x times x. Plus in the back tells me same signs. I know it's a negative because I got to get a negative 6 in the middle. Multiplying to 8, but giving me a 6. How about 4 and 2? Set each of your factors equal to 0. And then solve each of those. So I'm going to add the 4, and I'm going to add the 2. So I have answers of 4 and 2. Maybe. We got to check them. And sometimes both of them will check. Sometimes one of them will check. Sometimes none of them are going to check. So we really do have to check all these guys. I'm going to rewrite the initial equation that we were solving. But let's check first for the 4. So everywhere I see an x, I'm putting a 4. Under the radical, this is going to be negative 7 plus 32. So this is now negative 1 plus the square root of 25. The square root of 25 is just 5. And negative 1 plus 5 is 4. He checks. Let's check the 2. So again, I'm going to rewrite this. Everywhere you see an x, we're swapping it out for a 2. Under the radical, I'm going to have negative 7 plus 16. So negative 1 plus, this would be the square root of 9. So negative 1 plus 3 is actually 2. So they both checked. Last one. This one is a little bit different. Do you see it? This is a cubic root. Stick to the plan. It's all going to work out just fine. Let's go through the steps. Get the root by itself. So here's the stuff under the root. The 4 is not on the right side. So we're going to start by moving that 4 to the other side. It's a positive 4, so I'm going to minus the 4 over. They'll cancel here and leave me with just the cubic root of negative 12 plus x on this side. And on the other side, we're going to have a negative 3. Okay, next step is to get rid of the root. It is a cubic root. So in order to get rid of it, we have to cube both sides. Cubing a negative, remember, that's no sweat. We can do negatives with cubed roots. Let's see, a cube and a cube root is going to cancel and leave me with negative 12 plus x. And negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 is negative 27. Next step is to solve for x. To get x by itself, all I'm going to have to do is move this little old 12 over. They're going to cancel and leave me with an x on this side. And negative 27 plus 12 is going to be negative 15. Because this is a cubic root, we don't have to check it. I know this is the answer. But if you wanted to, you could still check it. It's going to work the same. Negative 12 plus negative 15. So this would be 4 plus the cubic root of negative 27. The cubic root of negative 27 is negative 3. And 4 plus negative 3 is in fact 1. You do not have to do the check because it was a cubic root and we don't have issues with negatives. But it still checks if you want to and had extra time on a test.